Time now for the front page for Monday, September 25th, 2023. In politics, a very, very busy weekend. Senator Bob Menendez of New Jersey has been indicted on bribery charges. This from the Wall Street Journal. A growing number of Democrat lawmakers and officials are calling on Senator Bob Menendez to resign. He was indicted Friday in a bribery scheme by federal prosecutors. The Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office charged the Democrat senator with accepting cash, gold bars, and other benefits in exchange for using his office to enrich 3 businessmen and aid the Egyptian government. Menendez stepped aside as chairman of the powerful Foreign Relations Committee, but has rejected demands that he quit his job in the United States Senate. Quote, "I'm not going anywhere," Menendez said. He called the charges false and said he was the victim of, quote, "an active smear campaign of anonymous sources and innuendos," unquote. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy, a Democrat, called for Menendez's resignation late Friday and was joined by a series of other officials as the weekend progressed. ABC and the Washington Post has polling out, and that shows that former President Donald Trump leads the current president by 10 percentage points. This from Fox News. Former President Donald Trump is currently leading President Biden by 10 points among voters. This according to a new poll. The Washington Post ABC News poll released Sunday found that if the 2024 presidential election were held today, President Trump would win 52 to 42% over President Biden. Respondents also held a poor view of Biden's handling of the economy and the U.S. Mexico border in addition to his age. Meanwhile, Biden's approval rating sits at 37%, according to the poll. 56% of respondents actively disapprove of his presidency. Biden is facing a crisis of confidence among his own party members as well, with roughly 60% of Democrats and Democrat-leaning respondents saying they would prefer a different nominee. For the Republican Party's part, they are at odds. Speaker McCarthy is decrying a burn-it-down mentality, this being reported by CNN. With 6 days until the government runs out of money, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy has a choice to make. Does he risk a shutdown to keep his job, or does he cross his Republican hardliners by working with Democrats? It's a defining moment that has been months in the making. To build favor with detractors, McCarthy is allowing Republicans to move forward with voting on a series of appropriations bills this week, even though they will be dead on arrival in the Democrat-controlled Senate. But time is running out. Republicans have failed to rally around a short-term option. The promises, by the way, that McCarthy, or the promises that McCarthy made in January when he bowed to hardliners to get his speaker's gavel, are finally coming home to roost, reported by CNN. McCarthy has both publicly and privately tried to compel members of his conference to unite around something, anything to strengthen their leverage in spending talks with the Senate. Former President Donald Trump then jumped into the fray last week, encouraging Republicans on Truth Social to oppose any spending bill that does not defund the Department of Justice or the criminal investigations into him. In international news, Mexico is planning to deport migrants from the Texas-Mexico border. Mexico has made an agreement with the United States to deport migrants from its border cities to their home countries and take several actions to deter migrants as a part of a new effort to combat the recent surge in border crossings. Mexican officials met with U.S. Customs and Border Patrol on Friday in Ciudad Juarez, that's across the border from El Paso, Texas, following the recent spike in illegal crossings into the U.S. that temporarily closed an international bridge and paused Mexico's main cargo train system. As part of the agreement, Mexico agreed to, quote, depressurize its northern cities, which border El Paso, San Diego, and Eagle Pass, Texas, where the mayor in Eagle Pass has declared a state of emergency. They will also implement more than a dozen actions to prevent migrants from risking their lives by using the railway system to reach the U.S. Mexico border, this according to Mexico's National Migration Institute. Out of Canada, the parliament gave a former Nazi a standing ovation. This from Fox News. Canadian Jewish organizations and social media critics are slamming the Ukrainian Canadian parliament for giving a man who fought for the Nazis his standing ovation in an event featuring Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in his visit to Canada. Video and photos show the Canadian parliament erupting into cheers when Canadian lawmakers also honored Yaroslav Hunka, a 98-year-old Ukrainian immigrant who fought for the 1st Ukrainian Division, this according to the Toronto Star. That division was known as the Waffen-SS Galicia Division, which fought for the Nazis as its paramilitary arm under the Schutzstaffel organization, according to the outlet. FSWC is appalled that Canada's parliament gave a standing ovation to a Ukrainian veteran who served in a Nazi military unit during the Second World War implicated in the mass murders of Jews and others. An apology and explanation is owed, said Friends of the Simon Wiesenthal Center, a Canadian nonprofit designed to educate people on the Holocaust. They wrote on X. That apology was fast in its immediate issuance. Out of CNN News, the Speaker of the Canada's House of Commons has apologized after celebrating a Ukrainian veteran who fought for a Nazi military unit in World War II. Quote, I have subsequently became aware of more information which causes me to regret my decision to do so, said the Speaker. From his office on Sunday, he added, I would particularly want to extend my deepest apologies to Jewish communities in Canada and around the world. In religious news today, this from Fox News, Free Church of England minister and prominent British conservative Deacon Calvin Robinson, is slamming progressive Christianity and warning that liberalism is the greatest threat to the current Western church. In an interview with Fox News, Deacon Robinson argued that the term progressive Christian is an oxymoron and stated that the liberal neo-Marxist thought that has infected the minds of some leaders and congregants in both the Anglican and Roman Catholic churches is a tool being used to destroy Christianity from within. Deacon Robinson described liberalism as so dangerous because it's, quote, warped in terms of taking something that sounds compassionate, sounds empathetic, but isn't actually fully true in order to get people to believe it, such as, trans queer theory, gender theory, critical race theory, unquote. Further, he explained that each of these radical liberal ideas come from one place. We call it neo-Marxism, but it's really communism, which we know is incompatible with the Christian faith. Again, unquote. Out of health news, the Mayo Clinic now says that hydroxychloroquine may be used to treat COVID-19. This is a news release from the Mayo Clinic. Hydroxychloroquine is used to treat malaria. It may also be used to treat coronavirus in certain hospitalized patients. Using this medicine alone or with other medicines may increase your risk of heart rhythm problems. And they come up with a list of these problems. Hydroxychloroquine should only be used for COVID-19 in a hospital or during clinical trials. Do not take any medicine that contains hydroxychloroquine unless prescribed by your doctor. Hydroxychloroquine belongs to a group of medicines known as antimalarials. It works by preventing or treating malaria, a red blood cell infection transmitted by the bite of a mosquito. Fox News is reporting there are new reports of health problems with Diet Coke. Pregnant or breastfeeding women who consume diet sodas or other foods and drinks containing aspartame could experience higher rate of autism diagnoses in their sons. This is according to a new study. Researchers at the University of Texas Health Center at San Antonio, UT Health Center San Antonio, found that among boys who had been diagnosed with autism, their mothers were 3 times as likely to report drinking at least 1 diet soda per day, or consuming an equivalent amount of 5 tabletop packets of aspartame every single day. Quote, our study does not prove causality, but it does not prove that maternal intake of diet sodas and aspartame specifically during pregnancy or nursing increases a child's risk of autism, but it does raise a major warning flag, unquote. This from lead author Sharon Parton Fowler, PhD, an adjunct assistant professor of medicine at the UT Health Center, San Antonio, in an interview with Fox News. Sports. The Dallas Cowboys lost to Arizona. This from CBS Sports. The Dallas Cowboys visiting the Arizona Cardinals appeared to be perhaps Week 3's most lopsided game. It was not the case. The Cardinals shocked the Cowboys in the football world with a 28-16 victory. Arizona was an 11-point home underdog after entering Week 3 winless following a collapse against the New York Giants, in which they blew a 21-point second-half lead to lose 31-28. The Cardinals rushed right at the Cowboys, racking up 220 rushing yards with both of their 3 touchdowns coming on the ground via a 45-yard sprint by wide receiver Rondale Moore and a 5-yard plunge by running back James Conner. Penalties also hampered the Cowboys. They committed 13 for a total of 107 yards surrendered. The 13 infractions are tied for the third most in a game under head coach Mike McCarthy since the 2020 season. The Colorado Buffaloes fell out of the top 25, according to AP, after their Oregon State loss. This from The Athletic. Colorado's pristine 3-0 start ended abruptly with a 42-6 loss to Oregon at Autzen Stadium in Eugene. The Ducks outgained Buffalo's 522 to 199 yards, building a 42-0 advantage through 3 quarters before Colorado tacked on a late touchdown. Oregon quarterback Bo Nix put together a strong performance for his Heisman Trophy resume, passing for 276 yards and 3 touchdowns, then rushing for another. Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders passed for 159 yards as Oregon sacked him 7 times. Usher has been named as the halftime performer for Super Bowl 58, this according to Fox Sports. Usher has been confirmed as the headliner for Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas, Nevada. The decision was announced by Apple Music during the social media platform on X. It's an honor of a lifetime to finally check a Super Bowl performance off my bucket list. I can't wait to bring the world a show unlike anything they've ever seen from me before, said Usher. This according to Variety magazine. Thank you for the fans and everyone who made this opportunity happen. I will see you real soon. Usher follows last year's performance from Rihanna, who publicly showcased her second pregnancy during the Super Bowl 57 halftime show in Arizona. Nearly 119 million viewers tuned in. And oh, by the way, the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, received over 100 complaints after the big game, with many claiming the show was overtly sexual in nature. And finally, out of Hollywood. The Hollywood screenwriters and studios have reached a tentative agreement to end the writers' strike that brought the TV and movie industry to a standstill for 146 days. The Writers Guild of America announced its deal late yesterday with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, a group that represents studios, streaming services, and producers in negotiations. The WGA and the AMPTP have reached a tentative agreement, said the Writers Guild West posted on its official X media. This was made possible by enduring solidarity of the WGA members and extraordinary support of our union siblings, who still stood with us for nearly 5 months. That is the front page.